What if I told you that the most powerful creature on Earth is smaller than your fingernail? Picture this. A tiny flea, no bigger than a sesame seed, sitting on a cold, cracked sidewalk in the middle of winter. No home, no family, no future. Just the weight of a world that doesn't even know it exists. Other creatures walk past without blinking. Birds don't even bother. And the wind just laughs. Have you ever felt like that? Like the world was moving around you, not with you? That was me, and this is my story. My name is Flea, and yes, I know what you're thinking. A flea? Really? What could a flea possibly teach me about life? But stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at your smallest, most embarrassing beginning the same way again. I was born in a crack between the floorboards of an old, forgotten library. No sunlight, no warmth, just dust and silence and the distant sound of pages turning above my head. My mother always said, "We are fleas, we survive, that is enough." And for a long time, I believed her. Survival felt like the whole story. But then, one day, I crawled up through that crack and I saw books. Thousands of them, towering above me like skyscrapers made of wisdom, and somewhere between a copy of Homer and a battered edition of Marcus Aurelius, I found a single sentence that changed everything. It said, "It is not the size of the dog in the fight, it is the size of the fight in the dog." I didn't know what a dog was yet, but I felt it in my bones. So here's the first thing I want you to understand. Your beginning doesn't define your destination. A seed doesn't look like a forest. A spark doesn't look like a fire. And a flea, a tiny, overlooked, laughed at flea, doesn't look like a legend yet. Now let me be honest with you. The early days were brutal. I jumped from host to host, just trying to stay warm, just trying to eat. Every single day was a battle. Do you know what it feels like to give everything you have and still feel like you're falling? I do. I jumped once, twice, 100 times, and every landing was harder than the last. The philosopher Seneca once wrote, "Per aspera ad astra," through hardship to the stars. At that point in my life, I couldn't even see the stars. My world was fur and cold floors and rejection. But here's something nobody tells you about the hard times. They are secretly building you. Every jump I failed, I got stronger. Every cold night, I got tougher. Every creature that swatted me away, I got faster. Pain, my friend, is the world's most underrated teacher. And you've had your own cold floors, your own hard landings, your own moments of being swatted away. And you are still here, watching this. That means something. One afternoon, I landed, completely by accident, on the ear of a sleeping cat in that same old library. And from there, for the first time in my life, I could see the whole room. Not just the cracks, not just the dust, but the entire magnificent world of knowledge spread before me. And I thought, why have I been living in the floor when there was always a ceiling? That question destroyed me, and it saved me. I began to listen, to observe. I heard professors reading aloud. I heard children learning their first words. I heard old men crying over poetry. And slowly, I started to understand that the world was not built against me. It was built for anyone willing to climb high enough to see it clearly. Aristotle said it best, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So I made a habit of climbing every single day. Now, can I ask you something personal? When was the last time you chose to climb instead of hide? Because I know it's easier to stay in the crack. It's warm there. It's familiar. The crack doesn't judge you, but the crack also doesn't grow. And you were not made for the crack, my friend. You were made for the ceiling. Things began to shift. Word spread, and yes, even fleas have a word-of-mouth network. Don't underestimate us. That there was a flea in the old library who had ideas, who had jumped higher than any flea before, who had landed on every page of every great book and absorbed something extraordinary. Other creatures started to come to me. A beetle with a broken wing, a moth who had flown too close to the flame one too many times, literally, a small trembling spider who had lost her web in a storm.
And I realized something that made me stop completely still. I realized I wasn't special because I was talented. I was useful because I had survived what others had not. My struggle was not my shame. My struggle was my gift. There is a scene in the movie Rocky, you may know it, where he runs up those steps in Philadelphia, arms raised, triumph blazing through every muscle in his tired body. He didn't win because he was the best. He won because he refused to stop being himself. I watched that scene once through a window, projected on a wall, and I wept. Tiny flea tears that nobody saw, but I felt them. Do you have a moment like that? A moment where something made you cry because it was so true it hurt? That was my turning point. I started to teach. I gathered the broken ones, the beetle, the moth, the spider, and dozens more who found their way to that library, and I told them everything I had learned, not from books alone, but from the cracks, from the cold, from the failures. I told them the world will not make room for you. You must make room for yourself. And something beautiful happened. They listened. They jumped. They climbed. They soared. A wise man once said, and I believe it with every small heartbeat I have, no man is an island. John Donne wrote that, and he was right. My greatest achievement was never a jump I made alone. It was the jump we made together. Seasons passed. The library changed. New books arrived. Books about technology, about the universe, about the invisible connections between all living things. And somewhere in those pages, I read about a scientist named Albert Einstein who said, imagination is more important than knowledge. A flea with imagination. Can you picture that? Because I could. I imagined a world where every small creature knew its worth, where no one stayed in the cracks because they thought that's all they deserved. And slowly, impossibly, improbably, that world began to exist because I built it, one jump at a time. The day I realized I had become something, not famous in the way of movie stars or kings, but famous in the way that matters, was a quiet Tuesday.